I'm Tim McVeigh, Vice President and General Manager for Channel 2. Channel 2 is committed to bringing you programs that improve education and quality of life in our communities. In the Georgia Aquarium's first decade, Channel 2 has followed the research and new discoveries that connect humans and animals in unique ways. In tonight's Family to Family primetime special, we have rare access and new insights into some of the aquarium's biggest challenges and what's next. We invite you and your family to watch.
The Georgia Aquarium, 10 years and millions of guests.
I knew we were making history, but I never knew the impact that we can have.
A decade of education, entertainment, and important research.
We're working with a couple of universities that now understand that the illnesses that happen to fish and mammals sometimes happen to us as well.
A decade of challenges and sometimes controversy.
To say these animals don't get excellent care is a lie, period. That's just not correct.
Now the aquarium reveals lessons learned, exciting changes, and critical goals for the next 10 years. Georgia Aquarium, the next decade. Here are Channel 2's Jovita Moore and Justin Farmer.
Good evening. More than 20 million people have visited the Georgia Aquarium since it opened 10 years ago. Tonight, we're getting our first look at what's planned for the next decade.
Benefactor Bernie Marcus opens up in a rare interview, and the aquarium is revealing more than ever about its biggest challenges and changes now underway.
Penguins, dolphins, and sea lions, these waddling, smiling, and charismatic creatures are all part of the big changes planned at the Georgia Aquarium.
We plan on doing a lot of new things in 2016 to reintroduce ourselves to the community. And we want to be a community resource, not just from visitation. We want to make sure people understand that this is a place that you can come to understand about the animals for research.
Learning more about the animals in the wild and still getting to meet them in person. Kicking off the next decade with new features, new shows, and new animals. We're going to see much more over the next half hour. First, new information about the animals at the heart of the biggest controversy at the aquarium, the beluga whales.
The federal government recently denied a plan to import more belugas from Russia, and the aquarium is still reeling from the loss of 2 belugas.
Staff members opened up to Channel 2's Craig Lucy about that loss and critics who challenged the entire program.
They are just so playful and engaged and observant.
The beluga, more than 3,000 pounds of personality. They are some of the largest animals at the Georgia Aquarium that bring smiles to the faces of hundreds every day. But they have also been at the center of some of the biggest controversies.
Morning, Tinu.
The program took several hits in 2015, including the sudden death of Maris from acute heart failure and her calf months earlier. National and local animal rights groups were quick to speak out.
I was devastated. Maris's life was a life of exploitation in a small tank or tanks. And over the last 4 years, she's been impregnated twice. She was just used and used and used up, and now she's gone.
To say these animals don't get excellent care is a lie.
The most recent calls by proponents of leaving beluga whales in the wild came when Maris suddenly died in October. The 21-year-old had been at the aquarium since it opened in 2005. This is the first time officials have talked on camera about what led to her death.
My specialty is pathology, and I've never seen anything quite like what Maris had from her autopsy.
Maris died from acute heart failure, but Bossert says they don't know the exact cause. So far, they've ruled out infection, metabolic issues, and possible toxins.
She had a complete physical exam approximately 2 weeks previous to her death. Everything was normal.
Her death followed the deaths of 2 of her calves.
It was devastating. It devastated me. It devastated our entire staff.
PETA says that Maris was denied her freedom her entire life. She was transferred from one facility to another, and her babies died one and the other. What do you say to an organization like PETA?
I don't speak to them. I speak to the people that want to know the truth, and I speak to you as someone that worked with that animal for many years. That was an animal that was very dear to me. That animal thrived.
Opponents often question the tank at the aquarium and if it's adequate for animals that can weigh more than 3,000 pounds.
And of course it's not the ocean. In the design, there's specifications that we have to meet in order to ensure that the animals have appropriate space to simply do species-appropriate behavior. In addition to meeting those specifications, the exhibits that we manage greatly exceed the minimum standards.
Another hit to the aquarium's beluga program came in 2015 in federal court. That's when the facility lost its bid to import new belugas from Russia.
You look at a child that comes in and is inspired looking at our belugas today, their child or their grandchild will most likely not have that opportunity. And it kind of saddens me to think about that, because I've worked with belugas a long time.
But that time hasn't come yet. The aquarium still has 2 young belugas, Grayson and Keanu.
Yeah, hey Keanu, how you doing?
There you go. Good job.
She's grown quite a bit. It's about getting the correct information out there.
Intact right above her blowhole?
We're doing great stuff, the animals are thriving, and it's important for us to be talking about that.
One of the aquarium's most successful programs is one you may know nothing about. The giant whale sharks are helping wounded warriors.
This was wonderful, Javita, as I got a chance to dive with the instructors and to witness a unique healing experience.
And that's what's so exciting. We can serve those who serve us.
4 Army veterans arrived at the Georgia Aquarium, a bit apprehensive, but also excited. Susan Oglesby is the manager of the dive immersion program for veterans. She's also a recreational and aquatic therapist.
All those horrible things that are going on in your mind and body are kind of put aside when a whale shark whose eyes are 4 feet apart comes by you. You're able to let go, release, and relax. And for some, it's the first time since they've come back from deployment.
The soldiers and their families stayed in the water for about a half hour, swimming atop the aquarium's Ocean Voyager, coming face to face with whale sharks, manta rays, and more. When they emerge, you can see a sense of peace on their faces.
When I first got in there, I was kind of nervous, didn't know what to expect, but kind of once we got started and everything, it was awesome.
All of my anxiety, it just basically went away, and it was a beautiful experience.
Aquarium dive instructor Mike Hillard understands probably more than anyone. I got a chance to dive with Mike. Then we talked about that day in 2007 that changed his life. He was leading his team on a mission in Iraq when he got shot in the head.
Next thing I know, I was laying on the ground, blacked out, and that's when my best friend came up to me and told me that I just got shot.
Hillard recovered, did a second tour in Afghanistan, but struggled once back in the States. It wasn't until he went under on a diving trip that his life changed again.
And being able to dump all that stuff and get that chip off your shoulder and experiencing something this peaceful kind of opens a whole new light. It kind of gives you a reborn feeling. Every time you come out of the water, you feel like you just shed 1,000 pounds.
On this day, the wounded warriors had some extra support from aquarium benefactor and Home Depot co-founder Bernie Marcus.
While they're in the water, it's a soothing effect on them, and it does have a calming and some kind of remedy to their souls.
Former Staff Sergeant Wayne Matthews couldn't agree more.
The whale shark, it rubbed up on me twice, so that made my day. It brought back the adrenaline and stuff that I missed from being in the military. So it's truly awesome. Absolutely loved it.
A rare interview with aquarium founder Bernie Marcus.
The Georgia Aquarium has really done things that have not happened anywhere else that I know of in the world.
His hope for every child who visits the aquarium. Plus, just months ago, these 2 sea lion pups were near death. Now, they're thriving. The unusual event that left them stranded, and how the aquarium stepped in to help. And a research breakthrough.
And the dolphin acted as the sentinel to look at the humans.
What researchers now know about high mercury levels in dolphins and humans. Next. Georgia Aquarium, the next decade, is a family-to-family special. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines, Northside Hospital, American Signature Furniture, Scana Energy, and Kroger. Welcome back to Georgia Aquarium, the next decade, with Jovita Moore and Justin Farmer.
The Georgia Aquarium has made it a priority to research animals in their natural environments.
Right now, there are projects underway from Mexico to the Cayman Islands to Alaska. And Channel 2 Chief Meteorologist Glenn Burns has been following one dolphin study for years.
Tonight, the dramatic findings about mercury levels in humans and dolphins.
It's considered a major breakthrough, and researchers at the Georgia Aquarium made it.
Our study is the first to close the loop between a dolphin condition and a human condition.
It's part of a study the aquarium has been doing since 2003. This is drone video, the federally permitted project. It's one the Georgia Aquarium let me see firsthand, studying dolphins in the Indian River in Florida.
And what we found is that the dolphins in this ecosystem, which is about 40% of the east coast of Florida, a huge area, have some of the highest mercury levels in their bodies that's ever been reported in any other animal.
The team went one more step to see the impact on people in the area.
We looked at 135 fishermen, and half of those fishermen had levels beyond the safe level of exposure to mercury that's determined by the EPA. We've been able to connect now a human and animal disease. It also shows the relationship, I think, between the health of our oceans and the health of animals and people that cohabitate this planet.
Some of these issues in the ocean are human-made, but climate change is also playing a part. It's where this issue and meteorology collide. This year's El Niño is a perfect example. Ocean warming has changed the global wind patterns, and those global wind patterns are changing the weather.
Not only are we seeing these changes in climate patterns, but we're also seeing emerging diseases. 75% of the emerging diseases in humans are what we call zoonotic, meaning they come from animals. Out of those, most come from wildlife.
The assessment in the Indian River is revealing diseases never before seen in dolphins, ones that could lead to superbugs that could affect humans.
We're starting to see cancer occur in marine mammals. We're starting to see antibiotic-resistant bacteria, which is very concerning.
The theory is it's due to humans' overuse of antibiotics, an abuse that, should a superbug emerge, we'd have no way to treat. Bossert said it's a concern for every one of us and a wake-up call to take better care of the oceans.
This isn't just about coastal people who live along the coasts on this planet. It's about everybody, because the oceans have this profound impact on all of us, no matter where we live, including Atlanta.
Bossert said the study also shows dolphins under human care actually live longer than those in the wild. The average lifespan for a free-ranging dolphin is about 20 years.
It is a fact Bernie Marcus does not give many interviews, but he agreed to talk to us about the aquarium's first decade, the next, and what he thinks about all those critics.
And it was his vision to build the aquarium, and he and his wife Billy gave millions to make it happen.
When Bernie Marcus walks through the Georgia Aquarium, he is smiling.
How many millions of people have been through here? We've done everything that we thought we were going to do.
More than a decade ago, the Home Depot co-founder and his wife Billy had an idea and donated more than $250 million to make that dream a reality. On the aquarium's 10th anniversary, he's reflective and proud.
I've talked to friends who've come from all over the United States, and they say the same thing. How did you ever do that? We said, well, we inculcated a little bit of Home Depot. I have to get a little commercial here, because that's what we do at Home Depot as well. People like to take care of people, and our volunteers have done the same thing. So I think when you look at the whole package, the Georgia Aquarium has really done things that have not happened anywhere else that I know of in the world.
Marcus says the magic for him comes when he watches children who come through the aquarium. Millions have visited with their parents or on school trips.
When you see a 7-year-old boy standing in front of the screen, the big window, and he stands immobile for half an hour, then you realize you've done something. It's almost a drug. I've never seen 7-year-old boys stay still for that long, but they do. They're mesmerized by what they see. If kids don't know what they're saving, they're not going to save them. If they don't understand how sensitive, how beautiful, and how wonderful these fish are, we're teaching them here what it means to save the lakes and save the ocean.
Marcus says he is aware of what animal rights groups such as PETA say about the aquarium, and his message for them is quick and to the point.
These people would like to close their minds and close their ears and not understand what they're talking about. This is for their own selfish purposes. I really have very little patience for them.
He'd rather focus on those who work and volunteer inside the facility and the important research they're doing.
Our researchers are literally all over the world in different oceans, tagging fish, trying to find out how they migrate, trying to understand how they populate, the things that make them ill. This aquarium spends between $5 to $10 million a year on research. Nobody knows that. But it all happens because people come through, pay to see this. They think it's just here for entertainment. It's not.
Marcus said he wants the aquarium to be an attraction that the families can visit over and over and discover something new each time.
Coming up, he's been at the aquarium since the day it opened.
I knew we were making history, but I never knew the impact that we can have.
The real inspiration behind the new changes coming to the aquarium this year. And these guys are real showmen. The event that threatened their future. And why the Georgia Aquarium was one of the only options left. Next. Welcome back to Georgia Aquarium, the next decade, with Jovita Moore and Justin Farmer.
An unusual event in 2015 killed more than 100 sea lions on the West Coast.
Pups strayed to shore after their mothers went looking for food.
Channel 2's Craig Lucy looks at the Georgia Aquarium's life-saving mission and how some of those rescued sea lions are now thriving.
This is Jupiter when we first met him in December, a 1-year-old happy and healthy California sea lion. Last summer, he was near death after a higher than normal die-off along the California coast. More than 200 sea lions stranded on shore, most of them pups.
So they wander up onto the beaches, they wander into bars, they wander into communities, into like housing communities. They've been found underneath the police cars, so they can go anywhere.
Representatives from the Georgia Aquarium went to California and helped teams at the Marine Mammal Center rehabilitate those who stranded. They then marked them and released them back into the wild, but many stranded again.
If you have repeat offenders, then what happens is they are deemed non-releasable.
Yes, federal regulations state animals who strand 2 or 3 times cannot be released into the wild because it's unlikely they will survive. Jupiter is one of 2 pups rescued by the Georgia Aquarium. The second, Neptune, is also thriving and basking in the attention they're getting at the Georgia Aquarium. Take a look at our most recent video of them and how much they've grown in just a few weeks. They're much more outgoing and eager to entertain.
Will you give me a kiss?
Their mentor is 10-year-old Diego, who stranded several times as a pup and was found under a police car. Diego and the rest of the sea lions are preparing for a new exhibit and show at the Georgia Aquarium. The final touches are being done on the venue. And here's the stage where Diego, Neptune, and Jupiter will be front and center, introducing the public to the personality of these animals and the struggles they are facing in the wild.
For every success, there was 2 or 3 that didn't actually make it. And when you think about that with the numbers of 200, then if we can save at least 25 to 30% of those animals, then that's 25 to 30% of those animals that won't have come to an unsuccessful end and sadly died.
The Georgia Aquarium is ready to rescue more sea lion pups since the experts are predicting the unusual deaths will continue.
The new exhibit is scheduled to open this spring.
Big changes are coming inside the Georgia Aquarium.
This is part of who we are. This is part of our DNA. We're always going to be searching for what's next.
The new exhibits you'll see on your next visit, and the inspiration behind it all.
Talk about a hit. It's estimated 23 million visitors have come through the Georgia Aquarium in the past decade. And so everyone is agreeing that change is needed to keep them coming back.
Now, some of those changes are already in place, and who better to talk about it all than someone who's been with the facility since before it opened.
Good morning, how are you?
I love my job. I couldn't think of any place I'd rather be.
Joe Handy is one of several of the aquarium employees who have been with the facility since before it opened 10 years ago.
It was electrifying. When we first came on board as the opening team in 2005 to see Bernie's dream come to fruition, it was an amazing feeling. Bernie has a way of just inspiring things out of you and bringing the best out of you.
He says that's what keeps the facility always looking for new ideas, new exhibits to keep people coming back.
We are over our budget and we are over our attendance for last year. So that's another reason that we want to reintroduce ourselves to our community. We want people to take pride in what we've done and what we've accomplished downtown.
One new exhibit already opened, touch tanks to let people feel small sharks and stingrays. And coming soon, an African penguin daily waddle walk through the atrium. Not to be outdone, the Dolphins are practicing for a new show, one that highlights their athleticism and ability.
So what we're focusing on now is we're going to focus on educating our guests about the beauty, grace, and athleticism of the bottlenose dolphin. They're very intelligent animals, and our new presentation is going to be fun and exciting, and it's also going to teach people about these amazing animals.
We already told you about the new show featuring these guys, but we wanted a reason to show you again just how cute they are.
We wanted people to be able to come back again and again and have this feeling of nostalgia, remembering the first time that they've come and come back and see something different. And that's part of who we are. We want to always have events and activities that bring people back to the aquarium time and time again.
The aquarium's 4D theater is also reopening soon after renovations. It's one of the most advanced in the world with interactive seats and unique built-in special effects.
Be sure to go to WSB-TV.com and have a look at the stories you saw tonight and find more pictures and video of the animals.
And more cool underwater video from Justin's dive in the big tank. Thanks for joining us for Georgia Aquarium, the next decade.
And we hope you have a wonderful evening.